Hello and welcome to the Daily Dulcinea. Today is July 29th, 2008, and on this day in history in 1967, a fire broke out on the USS Forrestal, which was an aircraft carrier in the Vietnam War. On this day, 134 people died and 62 people were injured. Chris, can you tell us about the events that occurred that day?
Yeah, Kate, it was actually all just a horrible mistake. Just before 11 o'clock a.m., a Zuni rocket was accidentally fired from an aircraft awaiting launch due to an electrical surge in power. Now, the rupture, it eventually made the rocket that was deployed ended up flying across the deck and ruptured a 400-gallon fuel tank. And this tank obviously was holding a lot of fuel and it was highly flammable. And it ignited bombs and lots of other ammunition on the deck.
Wow.
And eventually it was basically like an inferno. And men on the ship had to actually throw off bombs and other ammunition to stave off an even worse disaster. And in the process, lots of them died. So it was just it was a truly horrible situation on that ship that day.
Right, and when the ships, when other U.S. ships came by to try to help them, it actually took 12 hours.
Right, this fire did not cease for 12 hours, so it was just chaotic, to say the least. So.
And what was the description? I know a lieutenant gave a description that day for those events.
Right, one lieutenant described the ship after the fire had taken its toll as a mass of twisted steel with holes in the flight deck, a vacant space where there had been many aircraft, and a towering column of black and gray smoke and flames. So.
And there was actually a U.S. presidential candidate on board that day.
Right, there was. U.S. Senator from Arizona John McCain was one of the lieutenant commanders who was on the ship that day, and he narrowly escaped death and calls himself one of the luckiest men in the world. So.
Right, and then subsequently spent 5 years in a POW,
right.
in a camp in
POW.
Vietnam. Right, and following the fire, the Forrestal went back to the Philippines, and then eventually Virginia, where it was the home base. But what were some of the regulations and the safety regulations that came out of this?
Well, Kate, the Aircraft Carrier Safety Review Panel examined the problem of fire aboard ships, and they released their study in October, the following October. And the recommendations to avoid future catastrophes included the development of a remote control firefighting system for the flight deck, improvements in survival equipment, and increased training in fire survival. So.
And this actually was the worst loss of life since
since World War II.
Since World War II on a U.S.
Navy vessel. So.
And what was the attack in World War II?
It was the attack on the USS Franklin. So.
And do you know how many people?
I think over 800 people were killed in that disaster. So.
Wow. So since then, well, thank you so much for your report.
Yep.
And for more information on this story as well as others, please visit us at findingDulcinea.com. Thank you.